Hello and welcome to this discussion of ART versus MRT. What is the difference? Hopefully you're a little bit familiar with ART, but anyway, I'll be explaining it. Now, in some other videos, I paint this picture of the reliability spectrum, or spectrum of reliability, that at one end you've got pure reactive maintenance, things break down, you fix them, things break down, you fix them, and there's just the worst possible case. At the other end of the spectrum, we've achieved nirvana. We've got excellent planning and scheduling, spares management. We design everything right. We've got acceptance testing, all the things we could possibly hope for, and that's the ultimate goal. And we'd like to be able to go from reactive maintenance to the gold standard, and that was really what ART was designed to do, the asset reliability transformation. Each of those steps, the value step was to build a business case and say, what is it worth to the organisation to go from reactive maintenance to this gold standard, where everything really is clicking well. We need a strategy for this process. We need to change the culture. We need everyone engaged in it, and so on and so forth. So that was what ART was created for. And the ARP training is associated with that, and I still believe that that is a great process, and I wish more people followed it. I'm not going to go through all of these things sitting here right now, but each one of those 10 phases, value, strategy, people, control, etc., 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 kind of deals with all the things that you could ever imagine talking about in terms of reliability improvement. Go to any conference, read any book, whether it's planning and scheduling or spares management or quality control or acceptance testing or vibration or oil analysis or all of those things, culture change, business plan, continuous improvement, lean, all those things are sort of all involved in here somewhere, and the ART process spells it all out. We've got 65 little boxes there because there's 65 sort of identified steps and 365, tell you a secret, there's actually more than that, but I just say 365, recommended practices. So we're sort of spelling it out. What should you do first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. And the reason for doing this is because so many people tried to improve reliability. Ultimately, they're shooting for the gold standard, but they're failing. They're just failing, and it's often reactive maintenance that gets them. They don't successfully even get past that. They've got condition monitoring, but how many times, we do surveys, and of course we engage with a lot of customers, and they've got a condition monitoring program. Who has lots of reactive maintenance? Oh, we all do. Well, so really what level of success are they enjoying? They've got condition monitoring which warns them of certain failures, but they're still experiencing other failures. And anyway, so ART was an attempt to try and document it all, to show what you could do. But of course a lot of people would look at that chart up there and go, oh, I'm feeling dizzy. Oh, really? So much to do. These goals, way out there, this gold standard, and we're going to engage with senior management and change the culture, and it can all seem like too much, and I get it. So we said, let's sort of narrow the focus a little bit and say, well, for those who really are starting from pure reactive maintenance, let's just focus on the maintenance department for a bit and recognise that there's a point where you've got all the basics in place and now you're having much less reactive maintenance, far fewer failures. And so you've got some planning and scheduling. It's functioning, but a planning and scheduling expert might say, oh, you should be doing these other things too. You may have a good asset strategy or maintenance plan, But an RCM expert might say, oh, hang on, you should be doing this, this and the other thing too. You might have some condition monitoring, but the condition monitoring specialist will say, oh, but hang on, you should be doing this, and so on. So we're just saying, okay, that's fine, that's gold standard. Let's just do what we can to get things under control, and that's what this little sort of point in the spectrum is all about. So yes, the ART process breaks it down into the 10 phases and the 65 steps and the 365 recommended practices. The maintenance reliability transformation process is actually just the control phase. Now, under ART, we recommend that they start by understanding the value and doing a really good economic analysis and getting senior management on board. So you might ask, well, hang on, with MRT, does that mean you don't think that's actually important? We don't need to do all the economics and so on? Well, I think everything in ART is important. It's just that in dealing with a lot of customers so far, some of them say, oh, you know, I don't want to do that. I'm not comfortable doing that. I don't want to get senior management involved looking in on us. You know, I'm just not ready for that yet. So, okay, well, that's what MRT is for, therefore. And then we can talk about, you know, the strategy, which would include the RCM type of activity where we look at our failure modes and we develop a really good maintenance plan. Well, again, they might say, well, but I don't have the information to do that properly, I don't have the budget, I don't have the time, and we've got so many other problems that I'm just not ready for that. And then the culture change, they might say, oh, I really don't want to try and take that on. So we're kind of saying, okay, if you just want to focus on the maintenance department, then the things that we said you should do in the control phase, then that's what we'll do in the MRT process. So it's just those red/pinky bits there in the middle, and as you can see, they all flow on to other things. So, you know, we'll have basic documentation in the control phase and in MRT, but then later we'll go through and we'll create workflows and really detailed procedures of everything. We'll have our master asset list, our bill of materials, and other things. You know, so what really should we have? World class. We need all those things. To just start to get reactive maintenance under control, at the least we need the maintenance asset list, the master asset list, the equipment register. So let's just do that bit of it, and I could go through all of them and say we're getting the fundamentals right in the red blocks, and then we go on and do much more, and that's what ART is about. MRT gets you from reactive to maintenance under control. And then, if you like, you can, so that's 12 steps, 78 recommended practices, and all the training is spelt out. There's 78. Well, there's a whole lot of videos. I forget how many videos there are actually, but it's like 35 hours of training all told. And the idea is, even though you can buy it that way, the idea is not to take all 35 hours, unless you just want to sort of do it to get an idea of what you're ultimately going to be doing. A whole lot of that training is so that as you're doing each recommended practice, you take the training for it and you slowly make progress. Anyway, I won't go through. I've got another video that explains the process, but you know, so all of these are the 12 steps out of the 65 steps that are in ART, just focused on reactive maintenance. And so the idea is that once people feel comfortable with the process and they see that, well, we're having fewer failures and planning and scheduling is working and spares management, you know, is working to an extent, condition monitoring is giving us some results, we're not having as much rework or none, we're just not experiencing as many failures, they might say, well, that's fantastic. Now we're ready to go further with it. And then they can turn to ART and they can say, well, we should have a business case now. We need the culture change aspects to it. We can pick up from where we are now to where we want to go. And that's what ART would do. So, yep, ART is the whole thing. MRT is is just the bit in the control phase. So I hope that clarifies that somewhat, what the difference is between the two and why we created MRT once we'd created ART.